So we made this research at first as a proof of concept. We didn't know if we were actually going to find something. We had some suspicion about some specific trends, such like OpenAI. So we expected to find a lot of AI-related key exposed in public front ends because people are trying to move fast and sometimes they do mistake or they do trade-off to build their application faster. But yes, something we learned is that there is even more critical token. Stripe is not the more critical. You can find RSA key and get full access to an organization.
Welcome to the Elephant in AppSec, the podcast to explore, challenge, and boldly face the AppSec elephants in the room. I'm Alexandra, your host, joined by my amazing co-host Tristan, a former security engineer and co-founder of Escape. Today, we're excited to have an amazing guest, Swan Beaujard, join us. Swan is a security software engineer at Escape, specializing in dynamic application security testing. He's a core contributor to a lot of open source projects related to GraphQL security and is passionate about machine learning and reverse engineering. He presented his contributions and research at several international security conferences like B-Sides. This year, Swan published his new research detailing scanning and analysis of the 1 million most popular domains. Scanning front-end code of these domains led to shocking results. He discovered 18,000 exposed tokens keys and turned a $100 investment in the project into $20 million in Stripe tokens. In this episode, we discuss Swan's technical approach and how it feels to find so many exposed secrets. Dive right in.
Swan, glad to have you here today for the Elephant in AppSec podcast. You are cybersecurity researcher at Escape, in the cybersecurity research team of Escape. And you recently published with Alexandra a research report called API Secrets Pro, where you uncovered more than 7,000 leaking secrets on the internet, including private Stripe tokens worth more than 20 million. So we would like to ask you about how did you find this and how it feels like to find such secrets on the wide internet and how that can happen with all the techniques that we have today to secure the applications that we build as developers. So first, just to start, like discovering 20 million in Stripe tokens publicly accessible on the internet. How do you feel when you discover that you have this in your hands?
Hey, Tristan, thanks for the invitation. So at first we didn't really realize what we had in hands. And so we gradually had feedback of a few hundred dollars token, which was already really impressive because when it comes to money, people realize a lot what is happening. And so it was really exciting because we had our CEO walking in the room and telling us we just found $1 million Stripe token. It was hard to describe what feeling we went through at this specific moment, but we knew we had something, and it was actually a good time with the team.
So you felt the excitement from the kind of the achievement of your work, like finally getting to finding these tokens. Is that what happened?
Yes. So we made this research at first as a proof of concept. We didn't know if we were actually going to find something. We had some suspicion about some specific trends, such like OpenAI. So we expected to find a lot of AI-related key exposed in public front ends because people are trying to move fast and sometimes they do mistake or they do trade-off to build their application faster. But yes, something we learned is that there is even more critical token. Stripe is not the more critical. You can find RSA key and get full access to an organization.
So speaking about that, if we take a look at the report, we can see that you found more than 7,700 different tokens during the study. So what were the common types of API secrets? You mentioned so Stripe tokens, but you said there were things that were even more critical. So what were the types of the token that you found during the study and their critical?
We found a lot of RSA keys actually, like almost 25% of the findings. And personally, I think it's way more dangerous than a Stripe token. It could be harmful for a company, and if you leak your Stripe token, you will just lose money in a way. But we had some interesting token, so GitHub and GitLab token, so you could get access to the source code. Maybe
Intellectual
try to
property.
find.
Yeah.
You could try to find directly vulnerabilities in the code or something like this. We had a bunch of social networks related token also. And we had a few webhooks, so if we wanted to, we could have posted messages on internal companies
So
to
it
make
sounds
some.
sounds like something very useful for phishing, right?
Yes, for phishing, it could have been awesome. So fun fact, we found more Slack webbook than Discord webhooks. So it might be more enterprise than like personal projects.
Okay.
So we could
Yeah.
have.
Did you try to do anything in Windows?
I can't relate. I tried the Escape webbook.
It's also a little bit guilty with Discord. And if we jump on, on the technical side of things,
Yes.
that actually is also you're passionate about. So can you tell different steps maybe for our technical audience? How did you actually develop your scanning methodology in the first place?
I can talk about the methodology, but maybe I can give more context about the different types of token we found. There is something we decided it was, so we wanted to be 100% sure about what we got. So we intentionally filtered out a lot of token types, specifically the one we were not 100% sure about. So we might have missed a few tokens family. I can take Google API token as an example. It's really hard to classify, so we didn't found a lot of them in the report. We didn't. So we have only a few families if you take a look at the report. So it was a lot of constraints. It was in a, so we made the proof of concept during the Christmas period. And we had only a few days. It had to be done fast, but we had like a lot of time to run the project during the Christmas holidays. And so we had to how we built the project was first we measured how much domains we wanted to analyze. So we went to the CEO and said, okay, how many domains do we want to analyze? He said 1 million. And we started to do the math around how to scan 1 million domain in a few days. So we crafted a theory around the problem, and we tried to apply a budget to specific workflows and computing tasks. And we choose to build something really scalable that could work independently for a given domain. So if we wanted, actually, we could have scanned domain, the 1 million domain really fast. We just needed a lot of computing power concurrently. But we went straight to the collection first. We started by collecting first the results, and we did some refinement along the way, creating new heuristics because the project in the allowed time couldn't be perfect. So we refined it along the way.
Quickly started so and so that makes sense. I think data cleaning was also like data
Yes.
and
It
how did it take to take a look and patterns that you have to
it was a big
Swan,
challenge.
put your mic a bit away because
Oh.
we hear the yeah. Okay, perfect. We will cut
Okay.
that.
So we had a lot of false positive, as you said, Alexandra. So, but we wanted to avoid scanning twice given domain. Because this was where the most of the time was spent. So we just went straight to building the dataset of result and filtering out and refining after all. Stuff in mind, but we wanted to avoid ambiguity at all costs. So things like time-based token and so on were filtered out if they were expired. If you take, I don't know, GWT tokens or something like this. So we just try to restrict our dataset to what really matters, and focusing on like 20, 30 token families. But actually at Escape, we're capable of matching almost 1,000. But the thing is, in the day-to-day job, we are working with APIs, and APIs are very simple to understand. Usually they are reliable and really logical. But frontend introduces a lot of entropy. This is really hard to rely on what they send you back. And so we had to create some specific heuristics around the entropy. And because the entropy is ambiguous, so we just filtered out everything that was too high in entropy. Yes.
That's one of the actual novel part of the research, because there were previously reports. I think Guardian does every year the report on scanning tokens in GitHub and recent code repositories. But I think the novel part of this research was actually scanning applications, actual user generic front ends that you mentioned. Because you just said the challenge. But what do you think? Do you hope that in the future it also make people think about securing more their front ends or not?
It will be awesome that people start to care about their front end, but because yes, it's not really secured. No one will ever check your build assets. Usually, you check your code because you think you are more likely to expose token through code, but actually, when you link stuff together and you add environment variables and stuff, you can always leak them. And this is where it's interesting with APIs or frontends. Code repositories doesn't contain much context. They contain code context. But so people usually path static heuristics like regexes to monitor and try to find leaking tokens. But at runtime, you can leak infrastructure secrets that were not in code at first, or from additional libraries and so on. You can go way deeper in the code if you can understand the application or the front end. And I don't think a lot of people manually check their build assets for insecure compiling or linking. Actually, we didn't found any research on that subject, as you said. So I think it's a good start to improve the security of such application.
Can you give a specific example, for instance, of a situation where there was nothing in the code, like in the source code, but there was something in the JavaScript code, like tokens, and they appeared during the build process, so they were not spotted by probably like the secret scanners inside of the repository?
It's interesting because we actually observed such trend during the research. So we discovered that when you create application, you can bundle code. And so when you bundle code, you specify what code you are going to pack together. And it happens quite a lot, actually, like 1 or 2% of the time during the research. But people, they just pack the whole repository. Sometimes they include their .env files and stuff that is supposed to be protected, but when they build the code, they include every environment file, and it just leaks in the code even if it's not used. So it's a good example of something that is not supposed to be here at first, but finally ends up in the compilation files.
Wait. You're telling me that 1 to 2%
Yes.
of websites on the internet have their whole like development private environment package in the front-end code, like currently today?
Yes,
That's
I mean,
crazy.
I can understand it. Like, it's easier for developer to deploy stuff, but it's a major security risk.
Yeah, but you can't have a data leak if all your data is public, right?
Yes.
Conscious yourself, the results about when you are actually developing, like writing your code. Are you now more security conscious? or you were already like checking everything and following best practices?
I'm not too confident myself when I code. I know I can always do mistakes, and I already leaked a token in the past. It happened. But I think you really need automated stuff to detect when you leak a token, because people don't usually make these mistakes on purpose. It wouldn't make sense. They just don't know that it's leaking. So you really need automated stuff to detect such things, such patterns. And I think you are just going to be at some point overwhelmed by the amount of code you will write in your life, or in the amount of code you have to maintain, and you always have code you don't know about in a code base. So you need to be able to trust everyone, and to make sure everyone can trust the code they read sometime. So I think you can put the responsibility on the human side, because the human will make a mistake at some point, and you really need to develop automated stuff to catch it before it happens.
And so I read the report, of course, and you mentioned that you scan 1 million domains on the
Yes.
internet. 1 million domains. You found almost 8,000 secrets, and the total cost of this was $100. I mean, this is what you claim, right? This is what is written.
Yes.
For $100. So what you're telling me is you scanned 1 million websites on the internet, $1 million in Stripe tokens.
Yes. It's false.
Yeah, this is the best ROI I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen that before. So how did you manage to do that? Can you explain to me? Like, how is it possible that $100, of course, a very good security research team, but still like a small security research team, and $100 can, like, find more than 20 in value just using like some computation? How did you do that?
Well, so if I remember correctly, we just sent less than 200 million of requests. So it's not so much. We didn't send so much requests per domain. It was really quick, but it was just a script doing requests and trying to analyze stuff. We did some optimization along the way when it was running. We were observing and monitoring to find obvious optimization, so we could make some speed improvement, some algorithmic improvement, and trying to prevent any bottlenecks. So it was nice to do this optimization. It was fun. And we just wanted to have something efficient that will fit in the time we had. But we didn't specifically track costs, but it was really simple. It was just CPU resources and a database, and that's all. It was really efficient. We chose the compile language for efficiency. We went with Golang because we knew it was just about sending a lot of requests and making sure they work in a highly concurrent environment. And yes, with a few benchmark and a lot of monitoring, it went quite fine, actually. But you don't need to spend a lot to build great software, I think.
You mentioned the JavaScript backend channel. The code was one single JavaScript file. And what other trends did you observe?
We expected people to ship OpenAI keys in their frontend, as I said earlier. Even though we found let's say a critical amount of them during the research, we were hoping for way more findings concerning OpenAI keys. So it's nice that it's not a trend, but yes, people are more open to, like, they still put some secrets in their front end, but it was the main trends we observed about packing all your code repository in the front end. But overall, people are not too secure coming to front ends. I don't know.
You plan to build something upon that? in the future maybe develop research projects into the similar direction or something else?
It could be an interesting project. It could be an interesting project, but I think it's not really related to like people that I think it should be secured by the bundlers. Like if we are specifically talking about compiling files, I think it should be some safeguard directly into the software that back your code repositories. But we should definitely have someone that try to start a company and make sure secrets are secure in whole the development cycle, because we have company targeting specifically code repositories, but we don't have much company trying to detect what you are leaking online. It could be even wider. I think it could be OSINT stuff or something, trying to say, okay, what are you exposing on the internet? But it could be a really nice project, I think.
Would you like to build yourself a project like that? Because you contributed to several open source projects too. So would you consider building something like that or open sourcing it?
Maybe. I mean, I would love to be part of such a project, but right now, well, so personally, I'm more focused on API stuff specifically. But I think it could be a nice ride to make application environment in general more secure. If you want to.
Also to have some free time, for cycling later on. Or I mean, you can spend all the time on cybersecurity, of course.
I have to choose my battles, and I choose to be on the offensive side. So sorry.
But Swan, speaking about that, so generally, in the Elephants and AppSec, we have more like people that are on the defensive side, security engineers. It's very or sometimes pen testers as well. But it's very uncommon that have like a cybersecurity researcher, cybersecurity research engineer that is actually building a security product. We very rarely have that. So how does it feel to build a security product?
It's actually really interesting. I'm really passionate about what I'm building because I think it's opening, and this research is also opening a new world of possibilities, because you always have to improve and try to find new approaches. You can always try to leverage defensive solution, and you will be protected until you really have an issue. So we are trying to be one move ahead with the offensive approach, which is something which is working really well for now. And it's usually what happens, like if hackers can go through your system, it's because they have this move ahead of your defensive security solution. And yeah. But I think if we go back to the subject of the research, trying to leverage continuous attack surface testing is really important for a company at risk. And you won't be able to isolate your environment in a way you find the token and you protect the token before they leak. I think you need a mix of this solution when you're company at risk or with a specific governance policies. That's a long story. I'm passionate by computer since I'm really young, and I started to do like website when I was really young, and finally I started to hack school computers with Forks bomb and stuff, and like you had the Active Directory open, and so it was like a nice introduction, I think, to cybersecurity, trying to hack your school from the inside. And I learned a lot of stuff along the way. I played a lot with. Actually, I trained a lot on video games because I always tried to get that move ahead and get into things and how they work and trying to get an advantage. So I started to reverse and understand how video games work. Finally, I was more interested about softwares, but like I published my first exploit on Wireshark. Maybe you know Wireshark, like almost 10 years ago now.
Yeah, of course.
It was like a buffer overflow. And I always was interested about cybersecurity, but the Wireshark things was my first achievement. I had my name on the patch release. It was nice to see that. And but I wasn't sure about doing cybersecurity at first. I was always interested and passionate about building software. I took this way, trying to build security software rather than just software or just doing security. And I love automation, so I think I found what I love at Escape. And yeah,
So, offense or defense?
I think I prefer offense, but as I said, it's more nuanced. I think you need a mix of offense and defense. You can't only have offense and you can't only have defense.
Do you have, because this is very uncommon that we have, again, a software engineer and a security engineer at the same time doing research, do you have any advice for young people that are willing to buy into work to start their career into cybersecurity research or cybersecurity product building and development?
So I think my advice would be to get in some situation where you realize that you can always make something work. There is hundred of possibility to achieve something, and it's not only about computers. It's about life in general. You have a lot of path leading to the same destination. And what is really interesting is the path itself, because if you are able to follow a path and reach your destination, you will learn a lot along the way. And this is what really matters about computers and cybersecurity in general. You just need to shift your mindset and try to understand what you are doing. And I think you will love it. I think you will love it. Just try to understand how things work and see what you like. Maybe you won't like cybersecurity. Maybe you won't like software, but there is a lot of space in computer science, and this is a space where you can get creative or you can get extremely picky about details. I think it's a great space. Just find something you love and be fully dedicated to grow into that space.
So this is actually a very good advice, and people underestimate the power of working exactly in the field they picked and they choose. So I completely agree with that. And speaking about that, so what's next? You published this incredible research. Is there new research going on? Do you have like new ideas for projects that you're gonna conduct in the future? Like what's coming? We want to stay tuned to the research of this game.
Oh, so we have a lot of projects.
Of course.
But I'm not sure the one I can reveal now. I think I can say we're considering some kind of defense stuff as a project, but as a research team, we're going to do even better and in even wider research. We have some interesting stuff about like application cartography at some point we will release, and we are still going to periodically release updates related to secret sprawling or API security and GraphQL security. Yes.
Great, exciting. So we are gonna stay tuned, of course, to the future of this research, and really like a great read. I think we will put the link of the report in the description of the podcast, because this is very interesting piece of research. Super excited to have you as a guest again, Swan. It was really great to hear your story and the backstory of this research, and especially since you work together with Alexandra, the co-host of this podcast, to publish it on the internet. So that was great stuff to have you here. Let's keep in touch, and I hope to have you back for some more exciting research in the future.
Thanks, Tristan and Alexandra.
It was great having you. Thank you.
Thanks.